I once again welcome you all for the first technical session of the 8th PCS conference. We have Dr. B. Ravi, practicing company secretary and past chairman SARC here. Above all, I can say he is a very passionate teacher, almost for the past 3.5 decades. If you take any forum, half of the students are sitting on the other side are his students. CS Dr. B. Ravi is an arts graduate and MBA FCS. He has been awarded doctorate in corporate governance and boardroom management in India by University of Madras in November 2011. After working for 25 years in Sanma Group, he started his practice in 2000 and has been advising leading companies and banks on corporate law matters. He is also specialized in corporate restructuring, due diligence, secretarial audit. Shri Ravi advised on all legal issues of a company. He is a faculty member of ICAI, handling corporate laws for more than 2 decades. He is a visiting faculty member of Academic Staff College, Madras University and other leading colleges. He has served as a chairman of expert committee on company law and corporate matters of various Chamber of Commerce. Earlier, he has elected as SARC of the ICSI and was its secretary. Again, he has been re-elected to SARC of the ICSI for the term 2011 to 2014 and was the chairman of SARC of the ICSI for the year 2011. Presently, he is the chairman of the Oral Coaching and Student Facilities and Research Committee and member of ICSI SARC. He has written several articles and presented numerous papers. On behalf of all the members present here, I once again welcome you, sir. Over to Dr. B. Ravi.
Good afternoon, friends. I deem it a pleasant privilege to share some of my thoughts on the Companies Act 2013 with my fellow professionals. I'll be before you for next 60 minutes, approximately an hour's time, to dwell upon some of the highlights or overview of this Companies Act 2013. Before proceeding to the various slides that I have, which I'm going to interact with you, I would like to give you a small prelude so that you will be able to understand and appreciate what I propose to do and what is in store for us. In the Companies Act 2013, the striking feature is less government, more governance. That is a striking feature. In one line, if someone wants to say what is this new Companies Act, less government, more governance. That means almost in all places, the requirement of seeking the blessing of the government has been dispensed with, shareholders' democracy has been given more prominence, and as a result, better governance principles have also been advocated. The second, to remove the illusionary fact that is there in the minds of many of us, because repeatedly many keynote speakers, inaugural address speakers used to say, this law is simplified, the number of sections have been reduced, therefore life is becoming very simple. Please take it from me, it is not so. We are in the very same place as what we are today. The number of sections that has been decreased is only statistics wise. If you effectively count the number of subsections that are there plus the sections, you will ultimately find that you are in the very same place. To give a very small example, we have 3 sections to deal with: additional director, alternate director, casual vacancy. So the 3 sections have been clubbed under one section with 6 subsections. So 3 is reduced to 1. So we think that we have done something great. We are not. So that is the one point that you must keep in mind. So don't relax. We have to done away with 200 odd sections, so our life is very simple. It is not so. Only thing is the section numbers have undergone a change. Some of the provisions are getting consolidated. So we have to unlearn the old Companies Act 1956 and we have to afresh, or what you call the relearn, the new Companies Act 2013. Probably the title of the legislation could have been better worded by saying that the Prescribed Companies Act 2013, because you have almost around 300 places where the word prescribed is used. So unless the prescribed are being prescribed, then this Companies Act cannot be interpreted. As it is today, what I am going to dwell upon with you is dealing with the heart without a beat. So I am going to dwell upon only the heart part of it, how it is going to beat. Whether the beat is normal or abnormal or it requires some more medication, we will see only when approximately again 200 to 300 rules are going to come into place. We have to wait and see how things are going to develop. The third vital aspect which I would like to share with you all, we professionals have greater responsibility under this act, not only because opportunities are available, but also greater amount of confidence has been reposed on us by the government and for that matter stakeholders. As a result, if there is going to be any miscalculation from our side or slackening in following the ethical values or the code of conduct or the letter of law or the spirit of law, definitely the punishments are going to be very severe. So let us not miss this opportunity. We will stand up to the expectation of the stakeholders and try to see that we can offer not only what is being expected of us in the new law, but also much more than that. These are some of the points which I thought I can share with you, because I was the one who was very confident that this year we will see the Companies Act. The reason is very simple. We started the concept in the year 2003 and it has culminated into 2013 an act. If you see the history also, minimum 10 years is the target time from the time the concept was conceived before it becomes a proper legislation. You can see even the Sachar committee report, everything 10 years will be the countdown. I was still more confident that this time definitely it will come, because normally for a healthy baby you require 10 months time for delivery. This is a chubby baby, so you require 10 years time. As simple as that. So I was very confident definitely this law will come into place. It has. So that's the information that you must keep in the corner of your mind about this Companies Act 2013. Please. This is just an information just for your academic interest, how it has travelled under various stages, finally received the present assent on 29th August 2013 and gazetted on 30th August 2013. If you see the gazette, section number 1 alone has come into force from 30th August, and in that also you can see the second or the third subclass. The rest of the provisions will come into force from the date the central government is going to notify. This is again a statistical information for you. The number of sections are 470, schedules are 7, number of chapters are 29. The highlights, as I told you, section 1 came into force on 30th August and the remaining from the date central government notifies. When? God only knows, we don't know. Let us wait and see, because there are different rumors going on. One set of rumor is from 1st January it will come into force, at least some of the major areas, and from 1st April the accounts and auditors matters will come into force to fall in line with the uniform accounting year concept, and court related matters will come from 1st of July or so, or June, so that when the court goes on vacation and come back, the matters will get a smooth transfer. Different guessworks are going on, but we have to wait and see. But one statement that was made from the ministry side itself is, we are hopeful of bringing it from 1st April. Let us wait and see how does it work. Of course, the minister has missed a century. Only 94 terms are defined. 95th term only states, if at all you want to be thorough with the Companies Act, it is not only the definitions given in the Companies Act, but also you must know about Securities Counter Regulation Act, SEBI and the Depositories Act. So if at all one wants to master this law in interpreting the various terminologies that are being used, you must be thorough with 4 legislations, not the Companies Act alone. Please. Various terms are being defined, new terms. One plus point in this new law, all the at least all the major terminology that are being used are consolidated and defined under the definition class. Barring in 1 or 2 places where again they have explained a particular term, otherwise by and large all the definitions are there. There are so many definitions given: associate company, auditing standards, authorized capital, body, everything. Every single word that is being repeatedly used or being defined. One fundamental thing, if any students are here, in all your answer sheet, you remember 4 things: company, holding company, subsidiary company, associate company. In almost all the places, 4 terms will be used interchangeably. So if you write this knowingly or unknowingly, you will get 2 marks. If any student is here, please catch it. There are notable definitions. Please. Chapter 2 highlights 1% company. How far it is going to be a successful story, we have to wait and see. Especially after seeing the way in which LLP is today, how this 1% company is going to be. Because this 1% company concept, first, we the professional has to understood the way in which it has been conceived. Second, the various other authorities including banks, institutions should understand, because even today, till today, they are not able to understand and appreciate the concept LLP. When that be the situation, we have to wait and see how this OPC is going to be understood by the various authorities. The main information is it is 1 person, that is 1 member. In the event of his death, what will happen? The law requires at the time of formation itself, you are supposed to say, in the event of my death, who will be the successor? So that makes the situation much clearer, please. Of course, there are certain teething problems. We have to wait and see how the rules are going to see. Whether that can be only a natural person or can it also be an artificial person who can become a 1 member. All those things only the rules have to help us. Reservation of names as how we have today, but only thing is the names that have been allotted to you can be reserved for a particular period, that is 60 days. Entrenchment. This is an excellent provision that has been brought in. It has set at rest many of the differences of legal battles that are there. Whether we can have an additional provision in the articles which are a replica of the shareholders agreement or the joint venture agreements. And now this provision says, yes, you can provide extra legal safeguards. See, normally what we do is we form a company with just 1.5 page articles. We enter into the joint venture agreement running into 24 pages. The next day we convene a shareholders meeting, incorporate all the 24 pages in the articles of association to ensure that we do not miss the bus by quoting the Supreme Court judgment. Unless otherwise it is provided in the articles, it will not bind you. So now the law itself gives you the facility. Sorry. Please go ahead. Incorporation, there is an additional declaration, address for correspondence, subscribers and first director should give it. All these things are there already. Formation of a company with charitable objects, the scope has been enlarged. Today to promote art, science, religion or commerce or any other useful object, now they have added protection of environment, education, research, social welfare, etc. But certain other points that you have to keep in mind. Next please. The license, when it can be revoked. Next. Sorry, just go to the previous slide. Sorry. Central government in public interest can direct such company to be wound up, subject to the condition, may impose be transferred to another company having similar objects, may be sold, the proceeds thereof to be credited to the rehabilitation account. OPC can also form a Section 25 company, that is single man charity. Okay, charity for whom we do not know, we have to wait and see. A company in this section can amalgamate only with another company having objects similar to that. That means a Section 25 company can marry another Section 25 company only. Cross marriage is prohibited. Requirements for commencement appears to be applicable to all companies because most of the places the word company alone is used. They have not classified as public, private, etc. Hopefully the rules will say a negative list rather than trying to say what are all the provisions to which private company is not applicable. They can very well say which provision private company is applicable. That will be much simpler for us to remember. A company having a share capital shall commence business only if the directors file. You have to intimate the registrar within 180 days. They are all simple procedures. Registered office. There is a condition in the last paragraph is vital. If a company has changed its name or names during the last 2 years, it shall paint or affix or print along with its name the former name or name so changed during the last 2 years as required. This is a new condition because the companies are trying to change the name and try to escape not only from the regulator but also from the investor's perspective. Therefore, as a matter of investors' protection, you can call it as an education, you call it as whatever term you want to use, but this is a welcome provision. Please. Registered office. See the third point. The rest of it are procedural. We all know how to comply with it. Company's name, address, corporate identity number, telephone number, fax number, email, website address should be printed where? In all letterheads, bills, etc., etc., etc. So in all our companies, we are going to have the first page profile, second page onwards only we are going to start the communication. The reason is so much disclosure is required. Probably over a period of time, you will also have PAN number, TAN number, all those things also will come. As of now, there are so much disclosures. Please. Alteration of memorandum, of course there is not much change, except no alteration under section 13 shall have effect unless it has been registered in accordance with this section. Please. Alteration of articles, yes, private to public or vice versa, special resolution is required. The conversion of public company to private company, approved tribunal is mandatory. I don't know why. They have tightened it. Now today with the blessing of ROC we can do it. Now they require tribunal. We have to go there. Conversion of companies already registered. Okay. Yes, you can forget it. Please go ahead. This I am not deliberately touching because this you can never understand unless otherwise the rules are out. Otherwise I have to simply say about this 50 members, all those things. There is not going to be any earthly use. Next. Right of preference shares to vote under section 87 of the present act, which says cumulative preference shares, non-cumulative preference shares, whenever there are arrears, how the voting right accrues to them. That distinction has been removed. Utilization of amount consolidated, certain class of companies will be eligible to utilize premium account only when they comply with accounting standards. Today you can see under 78 there are certain provisions and 77 capital lever subsequently facilitates utilization of premium account. Now they have consolidated everything. Issue of shares at a discount prohibited. Section 79 is dropped. Only thing that is permitted is sweat equity. Preference shares for more than 20 years allowed. Today you have only 20 years, the maximum period. However, you can renew the preference shares, but only that is you can redeem it and reissue it. But now the law permits you for 20 years, provided it is for infrastructure projects. The word infrastructure has not been defined in the Companies Act earlier. Now a separate schedule has been prescribed. Variation of shareholders' right, there is no specific mention about it. Please go ahead. Transmission of securities. Instead of shares, they use the word securities to widen the scope. Instrument of transfer lodged within 60 days. Now if you scan through that particular provision, you will see that date of presentation stamp, all those tamasha has been done away with. Because there is no validity period and all, you have to lodge it within 60 days. Certificate when to deliver, subscribers within 2 months, allotment within 2 months, the 3 months has been reduced to 2 months, transfer transmission 1 month, debenture allotment 6 months. Can I move the company law board for extension of time? There is no provision here as against what we have today. Now see the transfer in the case of partly paid up shares. The present law says whenever the transfer instrument duly completed in respect of partly paid up share is going to be lodged with the company by the transferor, then the company is duty bound to intimate and wait for 14 days, then go ahead with that. But now it says no objection should be received from the transferee within 2 weeks. It is not only the mere intimation, you require an NOC also. Please go ahead. Further issue, applicable to company having share capital, type of company appears to be applicable to private company also. Issue of bonus shares not to be issued by capitalizing reserves created by way of revaluation of assets. So this particular point that is being debated upon, especially because of the Supreme Court judgment, some companies used to have a provision in the articles whereby revaluation reserve can also be capitalized. That has been put at rest. You cannot do it. Go ahead, please. Deposit. I think they was screwed virtually on the deposits. You can't accept deposits except from members. In the case of public companies, some threshold limits are going to be prescribed. Only for them you can accept the public deposits. Small depositor concept is deleted. Yes, it is a tamasha that was there. I don't know, still they retain small shareholders concept still. I don't know why. And put the word may. So when you put may, no one will respect. Even shall itself we see whether there can be any exemption. When may means no one will respect it. But still small depositor is deleted, small shareholder is still retained. Of course the welcome thing is deposit insurance is mandatory. Please. There is nothing great in that. Please go ahead. Because I have 257 slides, therefore that's why I am rushing it up. Okay. This particular chapter 7, if my memory serves right, starts from section 88 and ends up at 122. Approximately 35 sections are being given. One section talks about you have to maintain a register of members, register of debenture holders and register of security holders also. And the register that are being maintained by the depository will be treated at par with that of the register of members maintained by the company. Similar with reference to the index. You can also have a foreign register wherein you can make entries with reference to the persons residing outside India and holding securities in the company. You can make an entry to that effect. There is a provision to that effect. Then in 80, this is with reference to 88. Then in 89, again they talk about you can maintain it in the electronic forms, and declaration of beneficial interest is mandatory in 89. In 90, the central government has the power to investigate whenever there is a doubt about this declaration. In 91, they talk about the book closure, and the book closure they say you have to close the book in the same order in which what we are doing now, 45 days in a year, not more than 30 days at a time. But the only thing is previous notice should be given 7 days, and in the case of listed company, such a lesser period as may be prescribed. So they can't prescribe more than 7 days. And 92 talks about the annual return, where it is with reference to the financial year, and it should be filed within 60 days. In the annual return, a huge amount of disclosures are being contemplated, and it has to be signed by a director and or secretary. And if there is no secretary, by director, by a company secretary in practice. And if it is going to be a listed company, certification by a listed company secretary in practice is mandatory. If it is a one-person company, it can be signed by a company secretary. Where they don't appoint, it can be signed by one director. That's all the whole thing in 92 that they provide. And 93, of course, it requires you a new provision whereby you are required to intimate the regulators if there is going to be a change in the top 10 shareholders or with reference to the promoter stake in the company. That intimation should be made within 15 days from the date of the change. That is what is being contemplated there. Then there is a place where you can keep the books, that you can keep it at the registered office, or you can keep it at such other place with the special resolution approval, provided in that place not less than 1/10 of the total number of members reside, and an advance intimation of special resolution is required to be given to the regulator. That is what is being provided there. Then they say it is a prima facie evidence. Then they go to shareholders meeting in the same chapter. In the shareholder meeting, of course, the law is very clear with reference to the notice of the meeting. They talk about 21 clear days notice. The word clear has been brought into the legislation itself. Of course, with a shorter notice also you can convene a meeting. The discrimination between AGM, EGM, 100%, 95% has been consolidated. Only 95% consent is required. And the notice should be given to every member, every legal hire of the deceased or official assignee of the receiver, auditor, and they added one more, every director of the company also you are supposed to give the notice. And annexure to the notice has been contemplated and similar to what we have under 173, but extra disclosures are being contemplated. If the disclosure that is required to be made but not made, that the benefit that is received by the person concerned will have to be refunded back to the company is a provision that has been made. Then after the disclosure you have with reference to the quorum. Quorum has been modified. 5 members, 15 members, 30 members, depending upon the number of members that are available there. So the quorum structure has been modified. Then after the quorum chairman, there is no change at all except they made it as only 2 subsections. In one subsection they say members can elect one of the members as a chairman. And in the second subsection they have only stated if there is going to be an election for the office of the chairman, it should be taken up forthwith. That is the provision they have said about chairman. Proxy, there is a major change in one proxy. In proxy, a person cannot be a proxy for more than 50 members. So there is a major change that has been brought in with reference to the proxies. Then after the proxy, of course, you have the provision relating to the 3 general body meetings. First annual general body meeting they have touched upon, and they said within 9 months from the end of the financial year you must have the first AGM. Within 6 months of the financial year, subsequent AGMs. And for special reason, ROC can always give you the extension that has been given. The ordinary business, special business bifurcation that has been provided. Then after that they have stated about the postal ballot and what are the matters that are going, everything is going to be prescribed in the rules. Then they also have electronic method of voting has been prescribed. Everything is covered under chapter 7. So electronic method of voting has been given, and there is a requirement tribunal has the power to call, yes, similar to that of 167 what we have, and also tribunal has the power to call for an EGM as provided under 186 has been provided, and thereafter only they have stated about the EGM separately. Then EGM, a similar provision, there is no change at all whatsoever as reference to EGM also. Then after the EGM, they talk about the circulation of members' resolutions and voting by show of hands and how the voting can be done in the case of a poll, who can demand a poll. In who can demand a poll, again they have made a modification as against what is the existing provision of 179, saying that in the case of a company having share capital, in the case of a company having no share capital. It does not talk about a private company having number of members personally present not less than this, then 1 member present in person or by proxy, all those tamasha has been removed. So straight away they given one simple provision. That is very simple. Then the law has gone on to say the minutes of the board and the general meeting, how it has to be done. It should be entered within 30 days and should be signed within 30 days. Then I do not know the reason still. Again they have contemplated inspection of minutes of general meetings only. That means inspection of board meetings still a matter of controversy. So the existing 196 has been reproduced there. Then there is going to be a report of the AGM that is required to be filed within 30 days. Then finally the law has stated with reference to 1% company how the matter to be. These are all the 35 sections covered under chapter 7. So I have summarized all the sections section wise. Next. The same thing. This is the quorum, please. Next. For adjourned meeting also you must give not less than 3 days. There is one more point. Who can demand a poll? Postal ballot? Go ahead. 1 second, sorry, previous. The secretarial standard has been given a weightage, should be observed by every company. Now this again we have Central Council members also present here. This comes under the minutes of the meeting only they have stated this. It has not been dealt under the board meeting proper per se. So the secretarial standard with respect to general and board meetings specified by ICAC should be observed by every company. It comes in the minutes of the meeting. And we have a separate secretarial for minutes, SS5 if my memory serves right. So does it mean it is restricted only to that and the secretarial standard relating to board meetings, general meetings to be complied or not to be complied? I don't know. We have to wait and see. Next please. Go ahead. Go ahead. Dividend. Except for calculation of interim dividend, there is not much change in that. The plus point here in dividend, the present 205C, if the dividend remains unpaid or unclaimed and unpaid dividend account for a period of more than 7 years, gone with the wind, because it will go to Investor Education Protection Fund. Then after long deliberation, probably some sense have gone in, they said no, whose money, who can say write off? Therefore you are eligible for it. Next. You are 7 years, you can go and collect it. Go ahead. Accounts auditors. This has have a lot of significant changes. We'll just try to see how best we can cover them, please. These are all simple questions normally asked in the executive program of ACS. Where to keep the books, what to keep, for how many period, what it reflect, accounting system, branch office open for inspection. The only plus point probably you can notice, it can be maintained in electronic mode. Inspection can be done only by person authorized by a resolution of the board. The present section 214, if my memory serves right, it says resolution of a company. Whereas now it has been modified as resolution by board. Just one, go back. Okay. No, next. Financial statement is a new definition. What a financial statement means is nothing but balance sheet, P&L account, cash flow statement, statement of changes in equity that has been brought into existence, explanatory statement. 262 means a company which has only one person as a member. That is a statement whether it is applicable or not. A company other than a public company. That is, I have just defined what a small company means, what a dormant company means. Go ahead. Subsidiary company. This point I just want all of you to have a look at it. Board of directors should lay financial statement before members of the company at the AGM. If the company has subsidiaries, consolidate financial statement of the company and its subsidiaries. Subsidiary company or subsidiary in relation to any company, that is to say, control the composition of the board, the typical section 4, what we have now, except controls more than half of the total share capital, whereas today we have more than half in the nominal value of equity capital. So there is a change in that. Please. Compliance with accounting standards, okay. All these things, there is not much to be done, except 134. Financial statement, board report, etc. Could be a drafting error, I don't know. Financial statement shall be approved by the board, signed at least by the chairman if he is so authorized, or by 2 directors, one shall be MD if any, and CEO if any, if he is a director, then CFO, CS. That means if the chairman is authorized, rest of them need not sign. If you go by the interpretation, there is a meaning. So if the chairman is going to sign, the rest need not sign, because signed at least by the chairman if he is so authorized. If he is not so authorized, then only by 2 directors, one shall be MD if any, and the CEO, CFO, all those people. Right? So this one technical interpretation one can take. Second interpretation. Probably we can raise our collar up and say, I am also a signatory to the annual accounts. But do you know anything that transpired in the annual accounts and culminated in that of the financial statement? As a company secretary, touch your heart and say, barring 1 or 2 who is also occupying the twin position. By doing this, we are becoming an officer in default straight away. We are the only privileged person to sit at the boardroom with MD and also to go behind the bars with MD. We give company everywhere. But what is the implication? Why the CS? Why CS is required to sign? Right? Anyway, it is a debatable issue. This question has been asked to me in number of forums. Yes, we are also say we are a conscience keeper. We sign it only to make the board to understand this is a statement on which accounts are being prepared and audited. Therefore, we are only trying to act as the conduit pipe to make the board to understand. Fine. If you stop with that, I can appreciate. But you bring me as an officer in default. There only I am worried. I do not know how the accounts are prepared. What entries are smuggled, what entries are not smuggled. Because none is being consulted by me. When that be a situation, what is the significance of I also being a signatory to that? Next. Extract of the annual return. This is another information which I thought I should say in the prelude, but I reserved it for conclusion, but still it has come, I will tell you. The way in which disclosures are being contemplated under the guise of governance, under various sections under the New Companies Act 2013, I am failed to understand why the same amount of disclosure is done half a dozen times in different stages. Annual return, you give it. Extract of it, give it in the director's report. In director's report, you give an extract of the ledger. Same information again and again. Does it mean at least in one place a man will read? Is that the intention? If I give it in 5-6 places? See, by giving more and more disclosure, the same disclosure in different avatars, what is it that you are going to achieve? Because I just calculated the various disclosures. It is going to be in such a way, every company's standalone balance sheet alone will be like a mini Ramaya book over a period of time. Out of which, say assuming it is 100 pages, 60 to 70 pages will be disclosures only. And 5 to 10 pages about the profile of the directors. The balance 7 pages only going to be on financial statements. So I have to search the financial performance of the company in between that 100 pages. Anyhow, that is disclosure norms. Directors' responsibility statement, yes, the directors are bound to give various statements, whether they understand the significance or not, they should give this statement, because they are supposed to say that we have followed all the accounting standards. Even a renowned chartered accountant finds it difficult to know all the accounting standards. By the time he complete all the 32, 34 standards, standard 1 becomes deleted, standard 2 becomes amended, standard 3 is not applicable. Anyhow, that is the situation. CSR. What is CSR? Very simple. It is a license given under the Companies Act 2013 to the board of directors of the company to rob a portion from the profit to do the social service. It is a license given. Hereafter you can't touch it just like that, the board's company shareholders' profit. Now the government gives you the license. Rob it from the profit which is due to the shareholder. To the social service. Clear? Personally I am not very happy, but I have no choice because it has become law. So I can't criticize it. I have to comply with it.
No, they say,
Concept is good.
no, they say, if you don't spend that 2%,
Explain.
explain that.
No, that I will always explain.
Most of the people will learn the airmark and all, I'm
So,
telling you.
that's what I'm saying. What is the
Why should they spend for social?
No, don't come to that conclusion. Our government next year, in the probably the rules, they will say if you do not spend for more than 2 years in the average out of the previous 3 financial years, then you will not be eligible for all these ABCD. Automatically will provide. See, we know how to deal with it, sir. We will do it, all those things. But the only thing is the schedule that contains various things called as CSR responsibility. Of course, fortunately, they say these are only illustrative things. Company may include the following in their CSR activities. But if you see that, except one item which I can immediately remember correctly, the word is to contribute to Prime Minister's Relief Fund. The rest of them are the duty of the government to eradicate poverty, to improve the literacy level. It is not my job. My job is to do the business. My investor has given me the money to do the business. And you did not tell me I should do the charity. I know how to do the charity. Tatas and Birlas or TVS did not wait for the CSR provision to come in. They have already done enormous things. Anyhow, CSR is in place. It is a laudable objective. Let us wish and pray checks and balances are there so that CSR doesn't become cheating society royally. Please proceed. Right of members, all these things are there. There is not much of that except adopted, unadopted, all those things. Please. Please. Go ahead. Now, these are small things, so I am not touching upon. First auditor, second. Next. Tenure. Every company shall appoint an individual or firm as an auditor at the first AGM, and he will hold office for the conclusion till the conclusion of 6th AGM. That means tenure is 5 years. That is the information. Instead of saying that we always know how to confuse, so we said like this. They didn't stop there. Ratification. Members to ratify the appointment at every AGM. Then what is the fun of 5 years? When you say you are appointed for 5 years, but I am always doubtful whether next year I will be there, next year I will be there. Because it has to be ratified by shareholders at the AGM. I don't know why.
They should have stated not more than 5 years an auditor can continue.
Okay. No audit firm having all the rest of it, we can leave it. Next, go ahead. I am only telling the places where there are some trouble. Government company, no issue. Removal and all forget. Resignation. Auditor has a right to resign. Fine, that is my fundamental right. File within 30 days from the date of resignation. Yes, it is a duty for me to intimate the regulator. A statement in the form to be prescribed. Let us wait and see what it is. And with the registrar, last line, indicating the reasons and facts that are relevant for his resignation. Which auditor will give? Will you be able to say that the management is not willing to understand and appreciate and put the figures in this way, which I said, which is in line with accounting standard, auditing standards? That is the reason why I am resigning. Will you say that? If you say it, I appreciate, I salute you. any professional for that matter. It is increasingly difficult. One is law, the other is practice. Let us be very clear in practice. Can we say that? If we say that, yes, I am saluted by all the people in the world, but I will not get the second audit assignment in any company. So invariably there is going to be a standard thing which probably in the prescription itself they can prescribe due to health reasons, due to preoccupation, or the worst situation in view of the fact the professional fee that they offer is not commensurate with the quality of work that I am doing. These are three things only one can do, take whichever is applicable.
Personal also they will say.
That's why personally is personal only, I am saying health reasons. Personally it can't be otherwise. My wife is nagging and all, we can't write. Next please. Eligibility. Chartered accountant, firm name, okay. Next please. Who are not eligible? A long list is there. So every time you have to say a person directly or indirectly has business relationship with the company cannot. These are violated in a number of other forums also. If I want to become an auditor of Apollo Hospital or Saravana Bhavan hotels, I should not eat in Saravana Bhavan, I should not undergo treatment in Apollo Hospital. I have a business relationship with them. Then I cannot. Probably whether it will be extended to that extent, I don't know. The reason why I am saying is indirectly. The word indirectly is very dangerous. We do not know how to define the term indirectly. Next. Remuneration, you see the third point. In addition to the fee payable to the auditor, include expenses if any incurred by the auditor, understandable, in connection with the audit of the company, and any facility extended to him. What facility you can give to an auditor? Probably if he comes to Coimbatore, I will take him to the nearby temple, or if I go to Trivandrum, I take him to Chotanikarai. That is the facility? I don't know. Or take him for a drink in the night? I don't know. At the same time, it does not include any remuneration paid for any other service. Okay. See, these are the teething trouble we professionals are going to face. That's what I am highlighting. The law is laudable, very well structured. I have no grievance against the ministry. In fact, I would like to congratulate the ministry, especially the young minister Sachin Pilot, who has successfully piloted. Even though there were so many threats, when the bill comes, the ministry will collapse. When the bill comes, the minister will transfer. When the bill comes, the minister will die. So many things have happened in the past, in the 10 years. In spite of that, he said, I don't care, I will implement it. He is very strong in putting the rules also as early as possible. I really salute him at this young age. He has done a phenomenally very good job. But this teething trouble we are going to face. Next. Rights of auditors, okay. Go ahead, please. Auditor's report should give a true and fair view. Yes, debatable. Next. Next. These are regular things. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. The prohibited services, permitted services, okay. Auditor's report, yeah, this point again we have to keep in mind 2 points. One, in the case of auditor's report, only if it is a qualified report, we are supposed to read out at the meeting. But we expected the new law will say the auditor should come and read out the auditor's report. Unfortunately, it is not stated. So invariably, we poor company secretary will read the CARO again and again like an imposition every AGM. If it is unqualified, you need not. Auditors to attend a general meeting, it's a welcome provision. There also, I do not know why, the auditor shall, unless otherwise exempted by the company. That means you can get exemption also from the company. That is, the same person is auditor in 2-3 companies. All the 3 companies have the meeting on the very same day, at the very same time. I can't have 3 avadaram. Therefore, I take an excuse. But the law qualifies there. But he has to send his authorized representative who is qualified enough to be an auditor. So you can't send your foundation student, etc., to sit and watch whether a resolution is true or not. You have to send a person who is qualified to be an auditor. You have a right to be heard, of course. Please proceed. Proceed. No, I am not talking about punishment, penalty, because I believe all of us are law compliance. So none of the punishment will apply to us. Only thing is you must keep it in the corner of the mind that punishment is there. Calculate the benefit received, punishment to be paid. Whichever is beneficial, we can do it. Next. This is another chapter. Board of Directors. We are having a lot of issues in this. Please go ahead. I have still 20 minutes more. Only individuals can be directors. Public, OPC, private, minimum 3, maximum 15. Minimum 1 director, ordinary resident is mandatory. Ordinary resident has been defined as a person who is in India during the previous calendar year for not less than 182 days. More than 15 permitted, yes, by special resolution. So the present law 12 has been modified as 15. Government approval is removed. SR is substituted. Class of companies to prescribed, at least one women director is there. That's why I have colored it. They want the boardroom to be colorful, right? So what they can't do it in the parliament to get a reservation, they made it here. Class of companies, at least one women director. Please. Independent director. Again, I want you to watch the word nominee director definition. Nominee director means a director nominated by financial institutions, etc., or appointed by any government. The word any government may be interpreted over a period of time, even government of UK, USA, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, because it does not qualify. Why I am saying this, you will watch in the next 2-3 slides. Who is an independent director? He is a director. First definition. Second, it does not include MD, WTD or a nominee director. That nominee is what has been defined there. Next. These are all the things a person should not. To become an independent director, you must be a person of integrity. Define. No one can define. Possesses experience and expertise. On whose behalf? And in whose belief? In the opinion of board. The moment in the opinion of the board these things should be there, you are no longer independent, you are dependent. Straight away. Was not a promoter related. Company, holding company, subsidiary company, associate. This is what I said in the beginning stage. Everywhere you can see that word will be there. Only thing is, in the case of relatives, in the etc., your horoscope is scrutinized only for last 2 years, 3 years, as the case may be. Every listed public company shall have 1/3 of the board strength as independent director, but however they will not be counted as directors liable to retire by rotation. Declaration, he is supposed to give a declaration like our 299(3) notice that he is an independent director and should be given at the first board meeting after his appointment and every first board meeting in the financial year. Now, you have given so much what he called as qualification an individual should possess. If I satisfy all those things, I will get an independent director. Fine. But if I want to be an independent director, necessarily I am not a saint. I need money. No one will be willing to share their expertise free of cost. Right? If probably 1 or 2 in 1,000. Eligibility, you are eligible for sitting fees. That is the dakshani for attending the meeting. Reimbursement of expenses, provided the meeting venue is very far. Otherwise the amount is not worth it. Third, profit related commission has to be approved by the members. So, a company which is required to have an independent director as per the provision of law, especially when it is in red, it is necessary to have an independent director who will be able to revive the company by his independent expert advice. By this incentive, no one will come for such a company. So, the intent and the content, it used to differ. The intent is very good, the content appears to be bad, and adding salt on that wounded thing, you are not eligible for stock option. Yes, they have reason why they have provided, why they are not eligible for stock option. How many independent directors have become richer because of that? That is independent of it. But this is a matter which is going to act like the stumbling block for us to get a real, good, independent director who will occupy the position as a director, within inverted commas, really independent by giving a fearless, favorless decision. Next. Term of office, 5 years. Second term, if you are a good boy, you will be continuing. After that, again you want to, there is a cooling period of 3 years. Appreciate. We should appreciate this. But see in the conditions. During the cooling period of 3 years, the independent director shall not be appointed in or be associated with the company in any other capacity. If you stop there, I will be happy. You added 2 words, directly or indirectly. Again, what does indirectly means? Please.
If a person is already for more than 10 years,
that will not be counted, sir. That is there in the previous slide, the last paragraph. The existing tenure will not be counted for the purpose of independent director, will be counted for the purpose of auditors. Now the law says, don't worry, if you say that you don't have independent directors, we will give you a data bank. This data bank is nothing like Jadava Parivadani Mari. Everyone will put their profile, married, unmarried, second marriage, everything profile will be there. But I should meet that requirement. I should like him, he should like me. Then only you will get this data bank will be useful. Clear? How far this data bank is going to be useful, we have to wait and see. Next. Small shareholders, another tamasha in the act. It is there. It was introduced long ago as a political manifesto, to be very precise. Everyone, I used to quote this every meeting so that you will understand and appreciate the rationale behind it. Directors went and cried. Don't worry, director's responsibility statement was introduced. Auditor went and cried, don't worry, auditor's qualification will be in bold letters and italicized form. Small shareholders, don't worry, you will be recognized. Small shareholders, 20,000, less than 20,000, board may appoint. Small deposit holders, don't worry, there is a separate provision has been added for you. Like that, everyone you can see in that particular year 2000, provision was added. Even for that matter, government also went and cried, don't worry, all penalties increased 10 times. If you see in 13th December 2000 amendment, all penalties were increased 10 times. Please. This is nothing but the general philosophy what we have today. So nothing more to do. This also just information only. Only thing is all these things are compliance. Next please. Go ahead. One second. Previous thing please. At the AGM when the directors retire, there is one change. Wherever the word public holiday comes, that has been substituted with national holiday. That is a major change. Okay, there are only 3 public holidays throughout the year so far till today. We do not know tomorrow. So other than that, you can hold the meeting on any other day. Okay, go ahead. Here, we always do not advise the company alone. Sometimes we advise individual client also. Suppose an individual client comes and say, look, I want to embrace this particular company. I wanted to contest as a director. What will be the advice I should give it to him? You give him the advice. Don't worry, you send the notice. But are you sure you will get 25% vote at least? Otherwise, this 1 lakh will go down the drain. Deposit amount has been increased to 1 lakh from 500. So the advice that you have to give the client is not only put 1 lakh, but are you sure you will get 25%? If you won't get 25%, don't contest. Because you will not get 1 lakh. If he says 1 lakh is peanuts for me, let him contest. Addition director, there is no change. Alternate director, the 2 clarifications that is being normally debated upon has been clarified here. From the state where the board meetings are ordinarily held. The word state has already been a matter of debate because the subscription, the situation clause alone talks about the state, but the intention is only territories of India. Now that has been clarified. The second thing is an individual cannot be an alternate for more than 1 person in the same company. Even though today, because of the new electronic format, that is e-form filing of 32, it doesn't permit you. Indirectly, this has been brought in, but this is the situation, they have clarified it now. Nominee director, here only I said. Earlier we saw the nominee director definition. Now you can see the nominee director definition, or any agreement or by state government or central government, they specify here. They qualify here, whereas they don't qualify there, they put it as government. Casual vacancy, there is no change. Please go ahead. This and all the same thing, there is no change in the provisions except section numbers. Disqualification, the present 174, now it has become 164. First unsound discharge application, we can leave it. Fourth one, convicted by a court of an offence involving moral turpitude or otherwise is added. Okay. Then, convicted of offence related to related party transactions, that is the present age 18. Of course, the law says during the preceding 5 years only I will see your track record. The next one, if you are convicted for an offence and relaxed behind the bars for 7 years or more, you are not an eligible bachelor right through your lifetime to become a director. Total prohibition. Right? Next. Then that you can leave it as it is. Wait. The 12th point is a new point. Earlier this provision was available in the 283 of the Act under vacation of directors. It was not there under the earlier provision about the disqualification 274. Now they have introduced it under the disqualification, when the disqualification will take effect. Number of directorships 20. That exemption that has been given for section 25 company, private company, unlimited company, alternative, all these is scrapped. Merged everything, 20 for a public company, maximum 10 public companies, and includes private, which is subsidiary or holding company of public company. This is the only section where you will have this word, a private company which is a subsidiary or a holding company of a public company, which is there in the present act also. Now, this point will interfere with the right. Members by special resolution can specify a lesser number. If you want to become a director of my company, I can always dictate a term. You cannot be a director in more than 5 companies, more than 7 companies. I can say it. Probably the objective behind it is, if I want you to put your full attention on me, I don't want your attention to get scattered in many number of companies. But how this company shareholders will determine that, I don't know. It is infringing into the rights of the individual. It is almost like in our house, no? When we engage a servant maid, more than 2 houses you should not do the work, because otherwise you will do it very fast here. Same thing logic here they have applied. But that will work for servant maid, it won't work for the board. Duties of directors for the first time prescribed, probably falling in line with the Australian Companies Act, etc. They want to prescribe the duties of directors. Do we need to prescribe? This is $1 million question. Because even today, every director act in good faith. You are expected to. And exercise duties with usual care. Yes, you are expected to. Shall not involve in a situation which may have a conflict interest. You are expected to. It is not written anywhere here, you should not smoke. None of us smoke. It is an internal thing. We know the ethics and the values. But why they specify everything? Shall not achieve or attempt to achieve any undue gain. That means thirudu, naraya thirudada. They say undue gain. Shall not assign his office. Contravention, penalty provision. Clear? Duties are prescribed. Okay, fine. You are making the world at large know these are the duties of your director. With the risk, a director may say, I won't do more than what is contemplated. Because this is what law says. Why should I do something more? Vacation, of course, there is no change because there is a shift from there. Please proceed. Proceed. Resignation, similar to that of the auditors. Resignation to take effect from the letter of the date of receipt by the company, days as in the resignation letter. Director resign will continue to be liable for the offences occurred during his tenure. If all the directors resign, who will be there? Okay, next. Removal, there is no change. Register of directors, there is no change except in inspection there will be a point there. Members' right to inspect. Register kept open for inspection at every AGM, accessible to any person attending the meeting, not any member attending the meeting. So proxy may insist inspection also. Meetings of the board. That the board shall meet once in every 3 calendar months, 4 such meetings in a year, all the January 1st, 30th of June, whether it is in order, all these questions gone. Now the question is, gap between 2 PM shall not be more than 120 days. OPC, small dormant company, when they have more than one director, the gap should not be more than 90 days. Of course, video conferencing, everything is there. Now come to this point. Minimum 7 days notice for the first time, because otherwise the law talks only about reasonable notice. Now the law says 7 days notice. Shall be in writing, hand delivered, post electronic, means fine. Who are entitled? Every director at his address registered with the company. Today what the law says, it should be given to every director in India, to every other director's usual address in India. Now any address that is registered with the company, therefore it is US or UK or Malaysia or Singapore, you must send it, possibly because of electronic means is recognized. I appreciate that. Come to shorter notice. Urgent business. Fine. You can conduct it. What the law says? At least one independent director should be present. So, conclusion. In the case of emergency, the promoted director is at the mercy of independent director. Fine. Independent director is not present. What will happen? You all conduct it. But it should be ratified at least by one independent director. So, the summary or the story behind it or the conclusion is, you promoters at least have one independent director in your pocket, then only urgent business can be transacted. That is the moral of the story. Next. Quorum for board meeting. There is not much change. Circular resolution. There are 2 points here. Generally what we do has been legalized. That is, normally when circular resolution is passed, we used to record it in the board meeting. That is being legalized. That is, a specific provision has been added. But the point to be noted is the 4th paragraph, where not less than 1/3 of the total number of directors for the time being require that the resolution and the circulation must be decided at a meeting, the chairperson cannot do it through circular resolution. It has been done only at a board meeting. Proceed. Audit committee, an excellent concept, provided that the way in which it has been formulated has been followed in letter and spirit. I don't want to elaborate more on that. Rest of it you all know. Go ahead. Vigil mechanism, again a laudable objective, provided security mechanisms are very good in place. Otherwise, you blow the whistle today, tomorrow you won't be there to listen the whistle. Right? Next. Next committees. These are all committees. Normally, jokingly, we used to say, if you want to delay a process, simple thing, constitute a committee. Next. Please, previous one. Powers of the board has been enlarged. The powers given under section 292, the concept has been enlarged. They have included financial statements, director's report, diversifying the business, approval of merger amalgamation, takeover, any other matter that may be prescribed. Next. These are all, there is no change. No change at all. Company to contribute to bona fide and charitable funds. Okay, so you can contribute to bona fide funds, you can contribute to charitable funds. But when you come to the body of the letter, you can contribute only to bona fide charitable funds. That means unbona fide charitable funds you cannot contribute, because the wording of the section is like that. Next. Very simple, 2014 we have election, therefore magnanimously the government has increased from 5% to 7.5% contribution to by way of political contribution. Okay, they are very magnanimous. Next. This they have not touched at all, National Defence Fund. Disclosure of interest, yes, more disclosures, that's all. Please go ahead. Still I have 7 minutes. Yeah. Loans to directors. Right? Number language is Bachaya Aap. Director will not get loans. Clear? Except you are an MD or a whole-time director, you will not get loans. That too you will get a loan in accordance with the terms of service by a special resolution approval, etc. Go to the previous slide. Previous one. No company can advance any loan directly or indirectly, including any person represented by a debt to any of the directors or to any other person to whom he is interested. Any other person to whom he is interested also company cannot give. Only MD, WTD. Clear? World over, this provision is there. So India has also fallen in line with international policy. That's all. Then of course we can always give half a dozen ways, suggestions later on, but now let us not deliberate upon it. How we can overcome this particular stumbling block. These are all the existing provision which is called as any other way in which can be interested. Go ahead. These are all the existing provisions. You can skip them. Go ahead. Nothing has been changed in all these. Stop. Related party transaction is nothing but the combination of 295, 297, sole selling agency under 294, 294A and AA and 314. All of them are amalgamated and given a title called as related party transactions. As simple as that. Still we are yet to define the term relative. Okay. Let us wish and pray that the relative definition is as chota as could be possible. Husband, wife, son, daughter, unmarried. That's all. Anything more than that will be a trouble. Because we are no longer living in a joint family system. We are not living. Husband and wife meet only by appointment. So how do I know where my brother lives, my brother's wife lives, and how whether they take a loan or not they take a loan? I become punishable under this act. Go ahead. This is related party. You read it 2 times, 3 times, then you will faint. Related party is over. So much has been covered there. Statutory register.
Related party, the transaction is not at arm's length price. It has to be
Refunded to the company. The benefits received should be done.
it has to be taken to the
Special resolution shareholders only.
under special resolution. The related party cannot vote.
Exactly.
So, for example, 97% or 98% is held by a holding company. A holding company resolution or whatever will be decided by minority of 3%.
Make the transaction at arm's length. That's what they say.
For example, appointment of a director.
Sir, arm's length is appointment director is, they will not come under related party transaction.
If
No, even if you're related, if you appoint your wife, that doesn't mean you should not vote. Better vote.
no, there are
No, sir, there is a clarification with reference to additional director appointment. Department has clarified already.
Director is remuneration.
No, he is not.
Commission and remuneration. A particular shareholder may think that it is.
If you want to pay remuneration to a director simplicity, you require CG approval under the existing 309. That has come as a special resolution. That's all. That is not a related party transaction.
So any other related party transaction?
That's what I'm saying. If you are going to do it at the arm's length. Defining what is an arm's length, it depends upon
Who is to decide the arm's length?
board.
Board.
You have to substantiate before the authority. That's all I said. What is arm's length is your choice. You extend this way or extend this way or extend this way. Choice is yours.
So it is not.
This and all cannot be written in the law. See, certain things,
Arm's length, see, I have, the law is thinking that the board or the company is culprit. So if it is, whether it is,
if it is proved otherwise, the benefit arising out of the transaction has to be refunded, sir. So no one will take it, that particular chance.
All the shareholders are elected, then how the decision,
All the shareholders?
all shareholders are elected parties, how the decision.
Do it in the arm's length. That's what I'm saying. Then provision is not applicable. If it is not at arm's length, only you require the approval. Do it at a price, whether what you will do for him, what you will do for him, do for your relative also. That's what the law says. The simplest thing, get down from the board, enter into the transaction, become a director on the board. You can't say from tomorrow only you are not a brother, day after you are my brother, you can't say. You cannot break the relationship. You can break the directorship, no. There are half dozen methods available. Why are you worried? Let us allow the law to come into picture. If we tell too many things now itself in the rules, they will tighten it. So certain things should be hidden agenda, right? Yes, please.
Loopholes, let it remain.
No loopholes, sir. Everything is perfect. There are no holes at all. There are no holes at all. Everything is perfect. It all depends on how we utilize it. Yes, please. Go ahead. Go ahead. All these things are there already. No change in that. Go ahead. Previous one, please. Just previous one. One slide before. One slide. No, next. There is a definition I have given. Next. Managing director means so and so. The existing law is included. Subject to the superintendent's control and direction of the board is missing. Whereas in manager it is there. Possibly. Every director is subject to superintendent's control and direction of the board. Therefore they have removed it. Whereas manager need not be a director. Therefore they have included it. So this is a rational probably which I am able to visualize, even though the present law contains that. All these things, only thing is, youngsters, cheer up. 21 years is the limit. Earlier it was 25, now 21 itself you can become MD. Visiting card can be made ready. All those things there is not much a change. Only thing is time limit has been reduced from 90 days to 60 days. Remuneration, all those things are same. Go ahead. Proceed.
Government permission.
I'll come to it. There is a schedule that has been given. That schedule give you enormous amount of leeway. If you're still greedy enough that I want something more than that, then probably you have to go. See, first 7 years, in fact, I think part 4 or so, they said for first 7 years, you can do whatever you want, no approvals. The schedule itself will not apply. Then they said you can give the remuneration, double the remuneration given in the slab. Double the remuneration will come to 15 to 20 lakhs per month. That is too high a figure. 20 lakhs is enough. We don't eat currency for breakfast. That is more than sufficient. This point is vital, both for the students and for the practitioners, because the common question, the present 309 subsection 6, my memory serves right. A director who is a managing director or whole-time director and receipt of any commission from the company is not disqualified from receiving any remuneration from any holding company or subsidiary company. However, disclosure in the director's report is mandatory. Today you cannot. If you are a managing director of the holding company and receiving commission as a part of the remuneration, you are not entitled for any commission or remuneration from the subsidiary. That has been relaxed. Rest of it, there is no change at all. All these things are there. Stop. We should talk about ourselves also. No. Company secretary, key managerial personnel. Okay. So a new title, you are called as KMP. So that has been included. Next. There was a doubt about how. Edula key managerial personnel.
There is a distressed company, already have a qualified company secretary who has been filed Form 32. And they actually appointed a chief financial officer who is having 2 qualifications. One company secretary qualification and chartered account qualification.
There are whole. Wait. I have understood your question. I have understood.
Given as designated chief financial.
Sir, that's why I understood your question, sir. I will tell you what your answer is.
He can be appointed as considered a chief company secretary chief.
அதான் சார் உங்க கேள்வியை புரிஞ்சுட்டேன், பதில சொல்றேன், கேளுங்கோ, உட்காருங்கோ. புரிஞ்சுட்டேன். There is a prohibition Whole-time K managerial personnel, you can't be having more than one. There is a provision there.
Oh,
Okay, you can't do this and you can't do this also. And rise it to pay slip also. Both are not permitted. Either CF or CS, you are going to get it. Whole-time key managerial personnel kuduthirka. The present way what you are doing now,
yeah.
that is not permitted. Similarly, even if I am right, I think managing director and chairman also, there is a clubbing, unless otherwise you are a managing director and you are doing a multiple business, you can't be the managing director of the subsidiaries, etc. There is a prohibition. They have taken care of all those things, sir. So same person cannot occupy two positions. That's all. That's your question, no?
Yes.
That's what I am saying. I have understood. The moment you started itself, I have understood what is the question.
Yeah, another thing, if the company intends to do,
You cannot do.
no. If the company is pretending to do, existing company as forced to resign,
Naturally.
Form 32 are filed, and whether they can
File another Form 32, that's all.
Whether they can file another Form 32 for Chief Financial Officer. And
CFO, the law as it is has not contemplated any form, sir. Unless the rules are going to say about it.
Yes,
When it comes, then we will do. We'll wait and see the rules, how the rules are being drafted.
Yeah, we'll have to file till.
Yes. We have to wait for the rules.
Thank you, sir. Another thing, changes in manager remuneration, you want to disclose in the board. If there is no changes in manager remuneration, whether it is it need to declare in annual.
Sorry, I am not able to follow that, sir. Repeat.
If there is any changes in manager remuneration, it will have to be reported in annual return.
Right.
If there is no any changes in manager remuneration from previous year, whether it need to be disclosed.
There is no change. There is no change in solitele. First statement you made, change in managerial remuneration should be reported. Second statement you made, no change in the managerial remuneration. Third, therefore the answer is you need not report it.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Under subsection, I don't know the exact subsection number. If any person is acting under dual capacity, he is having a time of 6 months after effective day.
Correct.
He can choose any one of the designation, whatever he wants.
Yes.
Okay. And the same thing.
All waives are given, sir. This law is very nice, in fact. Let us not quarrel with it. It's a very nice law. Only thing is, there are too many things, we have to understand it with the rules. Once we incorporate the rules, then we will know actually what it is. It's an excellent piece of legislation. I have no doubt about it. Because normally, otherwise, I used to criticize. That is, my name itself is called a Subudu under the MCA. Okay, I used to criticize. The criticism not because I wanted to criticize this. I wanted to make to know how best it can be made feasible. That is the whole intention. It is not that I know everything and not others know. Nothing like that sort. It's only analyzing the whole provision. Next, please. Secretarial audit. See, we have, as Mr. Sudhir Babu was also making a mention, Institute is also fighting or trying to make representations to protect the interests of everyone. But whatever be the protection Institute is going to give, whatever be the protection the law is going to give, everything is what you called as will sustain only when we discharge our duties to the best of our ability, upholding the ethical values and the code of conduct. If we are going to succumb to the pressures for every 2 complaint certificate, 1 complaint certificate free, then we are doomed. There is no enemy from outside. The enemy is within ourselves. Let us uphold. Let us not sacrifice our prestige. Let us not sell our provision. This I am saying because out of my 38 years of experience, I have seen the different facets. I know how various professionals get caught subsequently and come to me for rescue. Even chartered accountants, companies, everyone I am saying. I used to advise them, at the time when you do it, please don't sacrifice the professional ethics. But I am not saying that be rigid. Be flexible, not breakable. There is an ocean of difference between flexible and breakable. Right? Duty of the company secretary, yes. Secretarial standard is given weight. Please go ahead. So Companies Act 2013, let us welcome them. Please. Let us pledge in this 8th PCS conference that we will shoulder the responsibilities and discharge our duties as company secretary to the best of our ability without compromising on the quality and the ethical values and infuse confidence in the mind of stakeholders. Thank you. I told you 1 o'clock I will stop, I have stopped.
Very good.
Thank you very much for the patient hearing. All the views expressed are my own personal views, nothing to do with the institute because I am also a regional council member, nothing to do with the institute, personal views. more for the sake of getting myself educated, not finding fault either with the framers of the law or with every other person who is associated in framing this. It is in the process of learning. I have said this. If I have made any mistake in any of my comments, please forgive me. Okay, I know to err is human, to forgive is divine. I know all of you have the divine quality. Thank you very much.
It is not advisable, especially to come to the mic when Sir has spoken about the Companies Act, that to Companies Act 2013. But my duty forced me to come before you once again. It's like we all agree, I'm sure you will all agree that it's a very thought-provoking, scintillating journey into the world of Companies Act 2013. I don't think, except Sir, no other pilot can take us through that Companies Act so swiftly. I appreciate it for that, and we thank you very much for that, Sir. And as a token of our love and affection, we request Mr. Narsingh Rao from Vizag to present a memento to Sir. And he needs a very good round of applause for the kind of efforts that he has put in. So it is not at arm's length, Sir. It is from the bottom of our heart. No, it is not arms. It is from the heart. So, yeah, I thank all of you.